Maybe I'll find two men half your age tonight. She laughed, swirling the last of her wine, her lips curling in that teasing smirk she used to reserve for me. I forced a smile. Just make sure they can pay the bill, I said, pretending it didn't sting. But it did. God, it did. We were getting ready for her company's annual gala, an event she'd been oddly excited about this year. She'd spent hours picking the right dress, doing her hair, and texting someone on and off, always turning her screen away when I walked in. After 20 years of marriage, I'd learned to recognize the difference between a woman who wants to look good and a woman who wants to be noticed. That night, Emily wanted to be noticed. 2 weeks before the gala, I'd found the first message. She was in the shower, her phone buzzing on the nightstand. I didn't mean to look. It just flashed bright in the dark room. The message read, "Can't wait to see you in that red dress again, winking face." From Ryan's sales team. I remember just standing there, staring at the screen, my chest tightening like a vice. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe he was joking. But deep down I knew better. Over the next few days I noticed everything I'd ignored before. Her late nights, her sudden girls' dinners, her new perfume. The way she flinched when I asked simple questions like, "Who were you talking to?" So I stopped asking. Instead I started planning. The night of the gala I drove us there, her perfume filling the car. She looked stunning in that red dress, the same one she wore to my brother's wedding years ago, when I couldn't take my eyes off her. Now she looked like a stranger wearing my wife's skin. Halfway there she joked again. "Try not to embarrass me tonight with your dad jokes, okay?" I chuckled. Wouldn't dream of it. She didn't notice that I'd packed my laptop bag in the trunk, or that I'd called the hotel earlier that week. The ballroom was a blur of chandeliers, laughter, and clinking glasses. I watched her float through the crowd, touching shoulders, laughing too loudly at things I couldn't hear. And then I saw him. Ryan. Young, confident, and exactly the kind of man who thinks other people's wives are fair game. They hugged, too long to be professional. His hand rested on her lower back in that intimate, possessive way that made my stomach turn. She didn't pull away. I smiled politely when people approached me, all while watching her across the room, watching her hand linger on his arm, watching her whisper something in his ear that made him grin. It was like being stabbed slowly and publicly. At 9:15 p.m., I slipped out quietly. Down the hall, I found the hotel's AV booth. The same hotel that had hosted the event for years. The same hotel whose manager was all too happy to let me test the presentation system earlier that week. I connected my laptop, checked the feed, and hit schedule. At 9:30, the presentation on stage would play automatically, right when Emily and Ryan were set to give their joint speech. I returned to the ballroom just in time to see them walking up to the podium, papers in hand, all smiles. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with something darker, calm, deliberate vengeance. Ryan started speaking first, charming the crowd. Then Emily took over, glowing under the spotlight. And then, the projector flickered. Instead of the company logo, a video appeared on the massive screen behind them. It was security footage from the hotel's parking garage, dated 2 weeks earlier. Emily, Ryan, kissing against her car, her hands tangled in his hair. Gasps rippled through the room. Someone dropped a glass. Emily froze mid-sentence. Ryan went pale. The video cut to a text message thread, screenshots I'd taken myself. Her words filled the screen like bullets. "I'll tell him I'm working late. You make me feel alive again. He's too boring to ever notice." The room was dead silent. Emily turned toward me, eyes wide with horror, mouth trembling. I didn't look away. When the lights came back on, the applause that followed wasn't real. It was the sound of whispers, chairs scraping, and careers collapsing. I walked out before she could say a word. She came home that night hours later, still wearing the red dress, mascara smeared. "You ruined my life," she said through tears. "No," I said quietly, pouring myself a drink. "You ruined ours. I just let everyone see what it looked like." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. For the first time, I didn't feel pity. I felt free. The next morning, her lawyer called mine. She wanted to talk things through. I told my lawyer to send the papers anyway. 2 days later, I received a text from her. "Can we please talk? Just once." I typed for a long time before replying. Then I hit send. I already did. Last Friday. In front of everyone. It's been 6 months since that night. Sometimes I still wake up expecting to see her beside me, hair spread across the pillow. I still hear her laugh when I'm alone in the kitchen. But then I remember that moment on stage, the look in her eyes when she realized she wasn't the clever one anymore. It wasn't joy I felt then. It wasn't even revenge. It was closure. Because for 20 years, I'd believed marriage was about trust, compromise, forgiveness. And maybe it is. But it's also about truth, and once that's gone, you're just sharing a house with a stranger wearing your wife's smile. She joked about finding men half my age. But that night, she discovered something she never expected. That even the quiet ones can burn the brightest when betrayed.